All right, guys. So we're on 4.1, page 176. New chapter, right? New chapter. We did a lot of graphing back in chapter 3. Not a lot of graphing in chapter 4. Okay, definitely less graphing. There's no graphing today, which is good. Okay. We are still working with slope-intercept form. So if you look at the I can statement, I can write equations in slope-intercept form. So notice it says write equation. It's not graph equation. So it's write equation. Tell the person next to you what slope-intercept form is. All right, here we go. What is slope-intercept form? Slope-intercept form. Finn? Yeah, it's just that y equals mx plus b, right? Remember, it's called slope-intercept form because m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. So slope-intercept form. All right, we got our slope, we've got our intercept, m and b. And those are just numbers. So we are creating the equations today. Last chapter, we looked at the equations, we graphed it. Now we're creating. So let's say the first type of question that you're going to see, it's going to be real difficult here. The first type of question is going to say, all right, our slope is 2/3, and our y-intercept is -4. Create slope-intercept form. I want you to write down slope-intercept form based on those two things. Okay, raise your hand and tell me what is slope-intercept form going to look like here. What do you have, Jenna? 2/3 x plus -4. Okay. I want to simplify. I want to clean it up a little bit. So what can we do to make it a little bit nicer here? Jacob?
2/3 x minus 4.
Yeah, so let's get rid of the plus and negative. Let's just make it minus. Okay, just a little less stuff going on. A little bit cleaner. All right, a little more straightforward here. So 2/3 x minus 4. So if your y-intercept's a negative, just make it minus that. Okay. Good. Questions on that? All right. What if we said the slope was 0 and the y-intercept is 14? Create that equation. Okay, Cassius, what's that equation?
Y equals x plus 14.
Nope.
What?
Ava?
Y equals 14.
Y equals 14. Y equals 14. Hey, if this was just an x here, what would the slope be? It would be a 1, right? So we can't have that because then it would be 1. If anything, it would be a 0x plus 14, but 0 times anything is 0, right? So it just disappears. So we don't even need it there, right? So it's just y is equal to 14, and that's it. And we know that should be what our equation looks like because we know it's got a slope of 0. It's a horizontal line, right? Our horizontal lines are y is equal to a number. So we're still basing stuff off of what we learned last chapter. We're just looking at it from a different angle. Good. Any questions about it? They just flat out give you slope and intercept. All right. So those are the easy ones. Not that the other ones are difficult, but those are the easiest of the ones. The rest of them we got to work a little bit. Okay, so now instead of just giving us the slope and the intercept, they're going to give us the graph of the line. Well, all we have to do is from that graph, find the slope and find the intercept. That's it, right? Find the slope, find the intercept. I want you to create the equations for both of these, please. Create the equations for both of these, slope and intercept. Should be able to get that slope just by counting, right? Make sure your slope is simplified though. It's gonna be a simplified slope. What person next to you about these? What's your slope? What's your intercept? What's your equation?
The first one I got y equals 1/2 x plus 1 and plus 2. And then for b I got plus 2.
All right, raise your hand for A. What'd you have for an equation here for A? Ethan?
Y equals 2/3 or 3/2 x plus minus 3.
3/2 x minus 3. Good. We've got our intercept right here, right? The intercept is where it crosses the y-axis. And then you got your slope. If I counted from point to point, it'd be up 6/4. We have to simplify that to 3/2. Remember, leave it as a fraction. Don't change that into a mixed number. That should not be 1.5. Okay, that is 3/2. So I know I can go up 1, 2, 3/2, and there should be a point there. So there's our equation. Okay, how about our second one here? Our second one. Aiden?
Y equals -3/4 x plus 2.
3/4 x. So from here down 1, 2, 3 over 1, 2, 3, 4. So down 3/4, -3/4. And then my intercepts at plus 2. Great. Good. Any questions on that? That's just counting the slope, right? Okay. So now a little bit more difficult is they're not going to give us the graph anymore. Okay, graph we can just count. Graph we can just count. We can't just count here. We still need to find the slope. Who remembers how to find slope from 2 points? It's been a while since we've done it. But how can we find a slope from 2 points here? John?
Y minus y.
Yeah, so that's slope formula. So y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay, slope formula. You are going to be using slope formula quite a bit over the next few lessons. Y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay, remember, doesn't matter which y value you start with. So you're going to subtract your 2 y's on top. Well, then whichever ordered pair you started with on top, you got to start with that same one on the bottom. Okay, slope formula here. So we got to find the slope. We can find the slope using that. And then today, in this lesson, they're always going to give you the y-intercept. They're going to give you the y-intercept. One of your points will be the y-intercept. Which one of these points is the y-intercept? The -1. Yeah, the -1. Okay. Anytime x is 0, that's your y-intercept. So if x is 0, then that's your y-intercept. That's your y-intercept. Okay. They're always going to give you that y-intercept, whether it's on a graph, whether it's just ordered pairs, they're going to give that to you. Okay, we don't have to go searching for it yet. All right, so I want you to find slope and create your slope-intercept form for both of those, please. For both of those. Creating the equation. That's all we're doing today is creating that equation. So I'm going to put your y's on top when you're doing that slope formula. Y's on top. Try to talk to somebody about it. If you're unsure on how to do slope, then talk to somebody. Hey, how did you do slope? And see if you can figure it out together.
Okay, so you're just find out why. You guys all feel like oh yeah.
All right, raise your hand. What did you subtract here? What minus what? What minus what? What did we do for these? Jackson?
5 minus negative 1.
Okay. And then what's on the bottom then?
That would be negative 3 minus.
There you go. So 5 minus the negative 1, negative 3 minus 0. That works. Remember, minus the negatives like adding. So I've got 6 over negative 3. My slope is negative 2 for that. Now, if you subtract it the other way, it's still going to work. That would be negative 1 minus 5. And then since I start with the negative 1, I got to start with the 0. 0 minus a negative 3. Negative 6 over 3, still negative 2. So what's my equation going to be for that? Jackson?
Y equals negative 2x minus 1.
There you go. Y equals negative 2x minus 1. Intercepts with negative 1. There you go. Okay, how about our second one? What's our equation? What'd you get? Final answer for the equation of B here. Jenna? Y equals negative 5. That's it. Y is equal to negative 5. If you do slope formula, it's going to give you 0. Subtract your two y's. Negative 5 minus a negative 5. Well, minus the negative is like adding. That's going to give you a 0. It doesn't even matter what we put on the bottom now, because 0 divided by anything is just going to be 0. So as soon as you see that both y values are the same, your slope is 0. It's not rising at all. It's a horizontal line. So our equation is just y is equal to that number. There's no slope. Right there. Okay, any questions on that? That's probably the trickiest part of the whole lesson is you got to be able to find the slope. You got to be able to find the slope using 2 points. So if you need to go back and look at your notes, you need to ask questions about it, then do that. Okay, make sure you got it. Here's the next one. All right, a linear function f with the values f of 0 is 10 and f of 6 is 34. Written slightly different, same exact type of problem. Same exact type of problem. If we think back to function notation, what does this mean? What does this represent in terms of that function notation? Cassius? Yeah, we plugged in a 6 to get out of 34. That's just an ordered pair. That's just the ordered pair, 6, 34. So this is the ordered pair 0, 10. I plugged in a 0, I got out a 10. So it's the same exact thing as those other questions. You got 2 ordered pairs, we got to find the slope and create that equation. Okay? Go ahead, find the slope, create that equation. So it's 4. But the way you have it, you want 4. You have 6 over 24. Okay, so we're gonna put that 24 on. Check somebody, see what they have.
I don't really get that.
Okay, here we go. Raise your hand. What is our equation? What's our equation going to be here? Addie? Okay, 34 minus 10, 6 minus 0. Gets us here. Okay, so what's that total equation going to be? Perfect. Y is equal to 4x plus 10. Good. Okay, questions on that? All right, last thing that I got to look at. Gonna work on, we got to look at. Go ahead and read that to yourself. Try to think of what important information is there. So there's a lot of words, right? Got some big words, got a few numbers thrown in. First of all, this is, if you look at the very top, this is considered a linear model. Okay, we're going to use a linear model to be able to solve this. A linear model is just a linear function that we use in the real world. People in the real world use linear equations all the time. Y equals mx plus b. They use it all the time in their line of work. Okay, a lot of marketing uses it, or in business, they use it trying to think about how many of something we're going to sell if we raise the price this much. Right? That's linear modeling. That's using this in the real world, which is what we're doing here. All right, so what is the important information? What's something that's important out of this? What would you say is important from this paragraph of stuff that we have? Caleb?
The 105 million megawatts of hours of electricity.
Yeah, 105 million in 2007. Okay? What we're trying to do here is we're trying to create an equation. And to create the equation, we need two ordered pairs. So we're going to create two ordered pairs from this information. Well, one of them is going to be about 105 million in 2007. But we got to be careful because it says we want it to be a function of the number of years since 2007. So 2007, that's going to be an x value of 0. Because that's 0 years from 2007. That's our starting amount, right? Because if we're talking about since 2007, the starting amount is 105 million. There's our y-intercept, right? 0, 105. I told you they were always going to give you that y-intercept. What would my other ordered pair be? What's my other ordered pair here? Ben?
5, 219.
Yeah, 5, 219. Because now it's 2012. We're 5 years later. So x is 5. And we've got 219 million. So we're here. And then if we wanted to, we would use that slope formula exactly how we've practiced already a few times. And we would get that y equals mx plus b. I'm not going to have you finish that one, but that's what we're doing. Okay?
What would be the y-intercept?
So y-intercept right there, the 105, right? When x is 0. Okay, Jenna?
Still technically use 2007, comma 105.
You could. It's going to get you the same slope, but then when you go to find your y-intercept, that's where this is going to have to be the case, right? But yeah, you're right. To find the slope, you can still use those big numbers. Any other questions about it? Got to know the slope formula, and got to be able to do slope and your intercept, put it into slope intercept. That's it. Go ahead.
Wow.